Question number 11, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to have this question held over as an additional question so it can be answered by the responsible
Leave us off for that course of action. Is there any objection? There is. There is objection.
To the Minister of Tertiary Education, Skills and Employment, does he have full confidence in the Tertiary Education Commission's oversight of tertiary education funding?
Mr.
The
Speaker,
Honourable Louise Upston.
On behalf of the Minister, overall, yes. I have confidence in the system's ability to monitor over $2 billion of funding to over 730 tertiary education providers who delivered 163,045 qualifications in 2014, up over 31,000 on 2008, including 29,390 bachelor's degrees, up from 4,460 in 2008. I'm also confident that the TEC will thoroughly investigate any funding concerns and indeed is doing so in a more robust manner than at any time in the TEC's history.
Speaker, supplementary question.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
How can the Minister have confidence in TEC and NZQA when a Deloitte review said that coordination between the two is inadequate, when there are now 5 serious fraud office probes into the sector and 35 providers have, and I quote, widespread or serious education delivery issues, 27 of which the names are still being kept secret?
The Honourable
Mr.
Louise
Speaker,
Upston.
On behalf of the Minister, the report that member has referred to has found that the broad approach to monitoring tertiary education organisations has the principal elements expected of a comprehensive framework. It also went on to make some additional recommendations to improve monitoring, including the increased use of data analytics, more extensively used both in risk assessment and also in identifying specific issues for review and investigation, as well as improved reporting between both the TEC and NZQA.
Point of order, the Honourable David.
Speaker, I seek leave to table a copy of the Deloitte report which says that the system lacks either the resources or the capabilities to detect fraud.
I just want an assurance that the report is not freely available to members if they want to go back and
It's not freely available, sir. It's a public document, but it hasn't been tabled in this House.
I'll put the leave. Leave us all to table that particular Deloitte's report. Is there any objection? There is objection.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Supplementary question.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to table for the first time an Official Information Act response from the New Zealand Qualification Authority, which declares 35 cases of serious or widespread misappropriation, but redacts the names of 27 of them.
And the date?
The date of that is 15 December 2015.
Leave us all to table that particular response to an OIA. Any objection? There is none. It can be tabled.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, why did the Minister support TEC's decision not to pursue targeted compliance reviews of 6 institutions now that at least one of those, Quantum Education Group Limited, has since been referred to the Serious Fraud Office?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Louise Upston.
On behalf of the Minister, of the 6 organisations reviewed in the first round, only 5 were found to have no issues at all. It was therefore decided that it would be more cost-effective to undertake the review, the Deloitte review that the member mentioned in an earlier supplementary question. This review found that the monitoring practices are designed well and made a number of additional recommendations to improve and enhance monitoring further. The TEC will continue to monitor organisations it funds. It's using regular and auditing program as well as additional tools like pattern recognition software to identify any concerns. And I add, Mr. Speaker, as I said in my first answer, this is the most robust monitoring by the TEC of the over 730 providers than ever before.
Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, I again seek leave to table the report which the Minister has just quoted from, given that it is not a freely distributed document and a member of her own caucus blocked leave last time.
The member sought leave before. It was denied by the House. Does the member have a further
Mr. Speaker, I seek your advice. Point of order.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, I sought leave to table a document. It is a document which the Minister's answers themselves have relied upon. Leave was declined by a member of the House, in fact, the Leader of the House.
Order, I don't need to hear any more than that is the issue. I decide whether it's suitable for the leave to be put. Leave is put to the House. Any member has a right to object, and if that's the end of the matter, the member can't continue to then say, contest the decision of this House. It's been made.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, how can the Minister have confidence in the Tertiary Education Commission when Audit New Zealand has recently audited a heavily qualified audit opinion which says that its accounts are so imprecise it cannot properly or robustly account for $2.8 billion of public expenditure each year?
The Honourable Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, I think it's important to put on record the exact issue that member is referring to, because it's very wide of the comments that he has just made. The qualified audit opinion is a result of the TEC not applying the requirements of new, highly technical accounting standards in relation to grant expenditure and financial statements in its 2014-15 annual report. The new standard, Mr Speaker, needs to be applied consistently by the Ministry of Education, the tertiary education institutions themselves, and the TEC as it relates to the time at which revenue and expenditure is recognised by the various organisations in the funding chain. From the Crown's perspective, these transactions should eliminate on consolidation. So with extensive consultation that's been underway, the TEC decided it was better to partially implement the standards and get it right for the next time.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Speaker, I seek leave to table a copy of the opinion from Audit New Zealand where it says the Commission has not applied the requirements of the new public entity benefit accounting standards and thus cannot account for its $2.8 billion.
Was this information presented to the member at a select committee?
The material was indeed presented to the select committee.
Yes, so then it's again available to all members if they want it.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, to the Minister, what action is the Minister taking to protect whistleblowers to the Tertiary Education Commission following allegations conveyed to him in a letter dated 14 February 2016 that the Western Institute of Technology is using taxpayers' funds to pursue a legal vendetta against both former and current staff members who have properly raised substantiated probity issues to the Tertiary Education Commission?
The Honourable
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, I can't comment on that specific example, but what I will say in the first step, where there is a whistleblower, they are responsible to the institution that they have declared an issue with, and it is for that institution to respond to that complaint. Outside of that, the broader issue around whistleblowers is a matter for the State Services Commission.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a letter to the Honourable Stephen Joyce dated 14 February which details a series of allegations against the Western Institute of Technology. It's been appropriately redacted so that it can be publicly released.
Leave is sought to table that particular letter. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled. It was I put the leave. The member had an opportunity to object. We weren't told who it was from because it was redacted, but it was a letter to Mr. Joyce.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
I'll hear from the Honourable David.
All identifying particulars, names and titles have been redacted from the letter on the advice of the Clerk of the House.
I'll put the leave again. Leave is sought to table that particular letter. Is there any objection? Yes. There is objection. Point of order.
I think we're in a difficult position where you had already indicated that the document could be tabled. So you can't go back to do a decision that you have already made. The leave was put, the leave was accepted, you made the ruling. We can't then go back and relitigate that. You've indicated that members can't relitigate when a document isn't tabled. They can't relitigate when one is.
Order. I think on this occasion, finally, the member makes a very good point. I put the leave, I waited, there was no objection at the time. Subsequent to us saying it can be tabled, there was a reasonable question asked about whether it had been signed. Mr Cunliffe took the opportunity to clarify that it had been redacted for what I think is fairly obvious reasons. If members want to object, they need to object at the time I seek leave of the House. It wasn't done at the time. It has been tabled. I thank Mr Hipkins for his assistance. No, I've made a decision. There's no...
I accept your ruling.
If the member, accepts my ruling, a further point of order.
Well, I think sometimes the problem is
Order.
Sometimes the problem is that members seek to make a political point, therefore say too much about the document, or use the document to make their point, and that can be difficult. In this case, the member was pretty succinct, but I was sitting here thinking, hello, got a letter, who's it from, and what is the situation, where may that leave the House in a legal sense if there were redactions? But I accept your ruling.
Yeah, and I think in future, if the member's thinking, well, hello, he needs to act a little more quickly to help the House. Question number 12,